So today I have the most amazing person sitting in front of me, Nicola Flood from Queen of Health. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Thank you.
I have to tell everybody a little story about you and why you are sitting there right now. Last year, was it last year?
This time last year, believe it or not. Yeah.
We reached out to each other.
That's right.
And I sort of felt I needed a bit of motivation in my life when it comes to eating and working out and look after myself, because I am a devil for falling asleep when I come home in the evenings, when I'm doing weddings. I told you about this.
Yeah.
Falling asleep nearly at the wheel coming home. And I just felt I needed energy and I needed somebody to tell me what to eat. And you reached out to me and I was like, yay. But I have to tell you something, Nicola, I've fallen off the wagon.
And we all do. But I say it's not how hard you fall, it's how you pick yourself back up.
How you pick yourself back up. So tell me and tell everybody, how did you get into this industry and why?
Yeah, so it's a good question. And I've always been interested in nutrition, always. And obviously, you know, they say your calling, and I'd always be interested in books and different things. But it wasn't until I was in my 30s when we got married, myself and my husband, and we decided, right, we'll start a family. And I was like, oh God, I'd two children, maybe a boy and a girl, or even twins. Let's just, you know, and I had it all set out and thinking,
worked out.
Yeah, it was just going to be that easy.
Yeah.
But 3 years of trying, nothing was happening. We decided we go to the doctor, and all they could say to us was unexplained infertility.
Right.
And then it was, because of your ages, you need to go into an IVF clinic.
Right.
And I remember picking up the phone to my mom, and I actually cried for the first time in front of her in many, many years, going, what am I going to do? I don't believe in this. Your body's meant to do things naturally.
Yeah.
So anyway, she gave me a good bit of advice. She says, just go with it. And then I had to realise that there wasn't just me involved. There was my husband, John, and, you know, there's two people. So we went on a journey, roller coaster. Anybody that's listening that has been on the roller coaster on IVF, they know how emotional it is.
I would get a lot of clients into my studio who've been on that roller coaster.
Yeah. We decided we didn't want to tell anybody. I think it was like a stigma back then. It was like, oh, I'm not telling anybody. And looking back, I think that was probably the worst thing to do.
Absolutely.
No support network whatsoever. So on that journey, I became very depressed. I put on 4 stone in weight because of the medications. And then my thyroid became underactive. And I was like, and the doctors had said to me, you're going to have to go on medication for the rest of your life. And that was like a light bulb moment going, okay, you've all this knowledge, you know the body can heal itself if it's given the right environment. So off I went on a little journey.
Right.
And I went to a nutritional therapist and looked at my diet. Then I said, all right, it's not just that. Then a big part of my journey was mindset.
Right.
It was changing that negative that, you know, you can't get pregnant, you can't do this. And then looking at exercise. So I went to the gym for the first time and I started lifting weights. It's the best thing that I ever did because I lost the 4 stone in weight.
Wow.
The mood started to lift. And then in 2015, Father's Day 2015, I took a pregnancy test and I was pregnant naturally.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it. And I had rectified the thyroid naturally.
Right.
So after that then, it's like, oh, I have to spread the word of health and nutrition, and not for people on an IVF journey, in all walks of life, because I still to this day believe the body will heal itself.
Yeah.
But you need support, you need coaching.
Of course.
And here I am.
And here you are. What did you have?
Sorry. Hannah, who is 7 now. And yes, a girl. So wow, yeah.
God.
And it, you know, to us, that was a miracle. That was our little angel. And so we have the one child, and it was just an amazing journey.
Wow. And they really do change your life, don't they?
100%. She keeps me on my toes.
Listen, we just talked before we came on here, like, it doesn't matter what age they are. Like, I have a 23-year-old and I'm still like, hello.
Yes, you do, yeah.
And I still treat him like 7. He'd kill me now if he hears this. But we've got 5 children. And it doesn't matter what age they are. No. You never stop worrying about them.
No, constantly. And I can see, you know, like she's 7 now, and even from 1 up to 7, the different changes of starting school, and now she's going into Holy Communion next year. It's like, how do I cope with that? So you're learning all the time.
I always say, you know, with children in primary school, once they go into third class, they start. Third class is kind of like a bit of a change year, isn't it, for them?
Yeah.
So you have her for another year at least.
Yeah, I'll make the most of this now. Yeah.
So obviously, we reached out to each other last year and I found you absolutely amazing. So I suppose I wanted to go on my own journey last year because I wanted to get a little bit of energy back, and I had been through surgery and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And I did, and I couldn't believe the change. Now I'm going to go back. I have to get back on that journey. But people come to you, I suppose, for different reasons.
They do. And I would see a lot of people will come in initially because they want to, say, lose weight, right? But when they sit down in front of me, within an hour, I have to give them tissues. They break down.
Yeah.
But when I explain that if you go on any journey of health, there's a lot of emotional baggage that we carry. And with, say, weight loss particularly, a lot of people can control their food. Mm-hmm. And then they realize, okay, well, I do binge eat. I do, if I'm stressed, if I'm emotional, that's when I turn to it. Mm-hmm. And when they come in after a couple of weeks, it's like, wow, this is a completely different journey than what I'm used to. Then having to count calories, having to do, food diaries of everything that I eat. Because as you said earlier, like a counsellor, you're working on people's mindset. Mm-hmm. And we all have this limiting self-belief, as I call it, that we keep telling ourselves, no, I can't. Yes. No, I can't. And I say, we'll come out of your comfort zone and we'll coach. And that's usually when somebody breaks down or they become emotional because for the first time somebody's listening to them. Mm-hmm. And they realise, wow, I've put everybody else first in my life and now I'm actually doing it for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I think that is the thing. We do put everybody else first. And I am absolutely a sucker for that.
Yeah,
I put every
I have too.
single person, brides, grooms, family, everyone before me. Yeah. And I'm very low maintenance when it comes to myself, so I suppose then I am the one who suffers. Yeah. And I would imagine there's lots of people like that.
Oh, 100%. What the key thing that I see a lot of my clients coming in through the door is with stress.
Yeah.
But they don't realise it because stress has become such the norm.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, if you've got young children or if people are getting married, we just go on this adrenaline where we just release so much cortisol, which we don't realise it.
Yeah.
And then, look, I'm drinking coffee this morning, but if you're stressed...
But is coffee not good for you?
Yeah, well, But people will then take their coffee, their adrenals are getting more stressed and they become burnt out,
And tell me, you're big into your smoothies, right? So like you have me like addicted to a particular smoothie every morning. Then I got sick of it and I changed. Talk to me about smoothies.
Yeah. So this is where some people say, oh, there's too much sugar in those smoothies. For me, where I came up, I call mine the Funky Five, right?
Yes.
Because there's 5 main ingredients that go into it. But I came up with this because a lot of my clients were coming in going, I don't have time for breakfast, Nicola. I'm on the go.
That's me.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, you need one of my smoothies. And I've had many people will say, I'll never have a smoothie for breakfast.
Yeah.
But once they try it, as I say, one meal at a time, one day at a time. And when they try these smoothies, it's like, wow, the energy. Mm-hmm. So the smoothies will be a meal replacement because you're putting in proteins, fats, fibre, one piece of fruit and your greens.
Yes.
Where people sometimes sugar bomb their smoothies and they just, they're high of blood sugars and then they have a crash.
Right.
But when they have those 5 ingredients and they're all managed properly, it's a full meal and it'll get them through from breakfast right through to lunch.
Honestly, and take it from me, I don't ever bring anybody on here if I don't want them on because I'm so honest. They really do take you from breakfast to lunch. And all you really need in your body is water in between that and lunch,
Yeah.
And talk to me about particular smoothies. Like what exactly do you put in them? Do you know what I mean? I know you've said the types of stuff.
Yeah.
But what? Like, so would it be protein powder?
So I love, to get that 20 grams of protein in.
Yeah.
I love plant-based proteins.
Yes.
I just find that they just have a better reaction in the body.
So tell people plant-based. plant-based proteins? Because people are out there going, oh, what's that?
And I always assume people,
no,
I know,
because
don't.
That's what you do.
Yeah. So you have your whey protein and you have your plant-based protein. The reason I love the plant-based protein is because my own personal experience. With plant-based, it's obviously made with, pea proteins or rice proteins, different things like that.
Yeah.
Because when I use, say, a whey protein in my diet, it just reacts with my sinuses. It doesn't make me feel good.
So what would a plant-based protein be? For me, I'm only asking myself.
Yeah, no. The one that I have, because with plant-based, they don't taste sometimes as nice as the whey proteins, but they're very clean. They have natural sweeteners in them. So I use a product called Sun Warrior.
Okay. And where do you get that?
Yeah, well, I'll give a shout out to the company that I use online is Discount Supplements.
Right.
I've used them since the beginning, but it's a great way to source your and they're delivered the next day. So
brilliant.
Yeah, you want ease when you're doing these things.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about fussy eaters? Do you come across fussy eaters? Because I have a couple of people in my house who would be quite fussy.
Yeah. So even if I look at Hannah, right? Hannah now, well, since she was 3, she declared herself a vegetarian. Right. And I thought it was a little phase she's going through, because most kids do. And she's 7 now and she's still vegetarian. So
really?
I said to her, well, is there a reason? And she says, well, Mom, she said, I don't like the taste and it's cruel to animals. So I said, okay, she's on a journey and I'll support her. So at the moment, she's very beige eating. It's pastas. She will eat raw fruits and vegetables as well.
Yeah.
But that is a fussy eater now to me, where I have to. I've gone a little bit vegetarian myself now, because if I'm on the journey with her,
yes,
I'll be her role model.
Okay.
But my advice would be, don't get stressed.
Right.
They find their way.
Okay.
So I would supplement, obviously, her with some vitamins as well to make sure. But I'll always put things on her plate. Now, they probably... And lunch boxes, and things go to lunch, but they come home again.
Right.
And we have a laugh about it. So I do, and I try to have a mixture, because a lot of people will say to me, oh, you probably don't give her sweets. You don't. No, I open her up to everything. So she has a choice.
Okay.
But always having that good choice on the plate as well. So there will be fussy eaters.
And and I think, because it's a long time since my kids were in primary school, and I'm so envious when I see all these lunch boxes. There's lovely chef called Aisling Larkin.
Oh, yeah.
And I love her. She's such a lovely, lovely girl. Yeah. And she's doing like master classes on filling lunch boxes for children.
And it's such an art. They have these bento boxes. Yeah. I was like going, I don't even have the time to do that.
I know, yeah, where you'd have apples and you'd have hummus and and she's obviously thinking what the children need, so she's doing master classes, and her master classes are full up.
Wow. Yeah. I would love to do something like that, because you're always learning, you're always getting ideas, and you can become in the rut of just the same old things, but you want to make it good.
Yeah. And I suppose there are people out there who go, oh God, well, what is healthy and how can I be healthy? And for me, it was, I like a drink at the weekend, and if I want to go out and I want to have a dessert, can I have that? Like, you can.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that people realise when they work with me, when I say, you don't have to give up your wine. You don't have to give up your chocolate. And they're like, what? Because I say, you're on a lifestyle journey now. You're on it. So you need to just take it one step at a time, where a lot of people, and myself included, we're conditioned that it's all or nothing.
Yeah.
And even on my own journey, I did many diets where it was restrictive.
Yes.
And it just doesn't work. So even now, if I find myself, I'll give up that, I can't. It has to be, everything in moderation.
Yeah,
so 80-20. 80% you're on track, 20% wine at the weekend. But I find with women especially is we come to Friday and it's like, oh, it's the weekend. I've done really good. And then they blow it out. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's like, and then you've got the Monday morning blues, because your blood sugars have been on a roller coaster and you feel miserable. Yeah. And that's why diets don't work.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when I went to you at first, and it was so basic what you did, but by God, did it have such an impact. And you were telling me about why I was falling asleep at the wheel coming home. Now, by the way, I work very hard when I'm at weddings. But you drew this diagram, and it was just like up and down with the pen, up and down. And you said to me, that's how your blood sugars are right now. And you talked to me about if I changed my eating habits, and you just drew a line across, and you said that's the way your blood sugar would be.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, wow.
It's amazing, where that to me is just, I do that every day. I show people, but how visually people can connect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I suppose the biggest thing for somebody like me would be motivation.
Yeah.
And what should I, okay, I've had my smoothie in the morning. What do I need to be eating for my lunch then?
Yeah.
What should go on my plate at lunchtime?
And that it's a great question, because we think, you're flooding your system with so much nutrients. And with the smoothies in the morning, firstly, because it's blended, the digestive system doesn't have to wake suddenly back up and start processing, and working. So when you get to lunch after having a smoothie, you want to make sure that it's something that's light, but it has protein. If we look at a plate and we, visually we draw a line down the middle, half that plate needs to be the star of the show, as I call it, your salads or your vegetables.
Star of the show.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
A quarter then is your protein. So whether you're vegetarian or it's meat, whatever, it needs to be a quarter. And the protein will balance the blood sugars. And then the other quarter is your complex carbohydrates. So your rice, your potatoes, your pasta, whole grain, obviously, just again to keep that straight line instead of the roller coaster of your blood sugars.
Yeah. And that's probably, if you have your smoothie at like 9 o'clock in the morning, I suppose you really need to be having your lunch. You can't really leave too long, so you can't between meals.
When somebody's trying to initially balance their blood sugars, I would say to eat every 3 to 3.5 hours.
Right.
And 5 meals a day.
Oh,
and
5?
People are
I'm
going,
thinking 3. You're mad.
And this is where sometimes if people are on a journey that they want to lose weight, it's where the mindset kicks in going, oh my God, 5 meals, I can't do that. That's way too much.
Yeah. I'm going to be 50 stone.
Yeah. But then because sometimes people are overfed and undernourished. So when they start to put in these, now it's 3 main meals and 2 little snacks.
Okay.
Right. So it's all portioned properly.
Right.
And then it's, every 3 hours. So some people will have a later breakfast. They probably only need 4 meals. But it's once you eat your first meal, whether it's your smoothie or whatever breakfast you have, it's then 3.5 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you have that at lunchtime. And then 3.5 hours later, you have your dinner.
Or a snack in between.
Or a snack. So what's the snack then? Tell me about the snack. What can that be?
So the ratio again has to be protein and carbohydrates.
Right.
So even if you're having a piece of fruit, balance it with some nuts or some seeds. Or let's have some oat cakes and hummus. Right. So it's always that ratio.
Yeah. And I think again, the difficulty for people is the food, is getting prepared for the food. So you've a little book actually.
Yes.
And does that book explain what to buy at the beginning of the week?
It does. I have a shopping list.
Stop it. Oh, I need it. I have the book actually. I need to read it.
Go back into it. So your shopping list, your meal plans. But what I try to say to people is that meal prep is key.
Yeah.
It always, even when I find myself that I've come out of the meal prep, it's like, made bad choices. And if you have meal prep, you have your stuff with you. You're not going to go to the local shop and buy your bar of chocolate. You have your nuts, you have your seeds. You're in the car, you're traveling, you've got your stash there.
Yeah.
And it'll work.
What seeds are you talking about now?
So I love pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds.
Right.
And they really work on a higher level of, say, hormone health.
Right.
Where when everything we put in really has this kind of like electric effect on everything.
Yeah.
But hormones, especially for women, and if you're stressed, because when we look at hormones, we're looking at, people think sex hormones or, periods, having babies. But there's so much more to hormones. There's, your stress levels, energy levels, everything. So we need to look after them.
And then women who are perimenopause, because that can happen from 38 on.
Oh, absolutely.
Sometimes earlier. But honestly, it can. So what should they be looking at?
So and you have to approach this nicely.
Because
we're going into a new phase. I think it's the Chinese or the Japanese. They have a lovely, I can't think of it now, but they have a lovely word for it, that it's not this mad thing that's happening to people.
Yes.
It's a lovely phase of your life.
Yeah.
But we have to be gentle on ourselves. We have to look at, what we did in our 30s, 20s, 30s isn't going to work now.
Yeah.
We have to change slightly.
Right.
And it comes back to the basics of hydration, is having a look at, nutritionally, what are the foods that are really going to support the hormones? So the likes of, say, chickpeas, lentils, all of those plant-based will really start to put in estrogen naturally into the body. But, looking after yourself, going out and having that day where you're relaxing as well, when we can.
Yes.
Because So a lot of women put everyone else's oxygen masks on first, and then it's themselves. We do it ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah. Because obviously, with menopause and perimenopause, your bones start to ache in a lot of cases.
Absolutely.
And is there something you can do for that without having to go and take what do you call it, HRT?
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. And I always say to people, because HRT it's a really hot topic at the moment.
Yes.
And if I do have clients that come into me and they're talking about that, and I'll say, okay, well, let's start first at, cleaning up the diet, exercise, looking after you first.
Yes.
And then you're ready to go in to your doctor and have the chat.
Yeah.
And being connected with your doctor to know, right, I'm going on medication. So what's the plan? So you're not just taking something, you've researched, and that's one of the things that I would make sure with people if they're going to do that.
Because your energy level is just so important, because it obviously does affect your mood big style.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Another thing that I find can work with certain people is a thing called intermittent fasting for aches and pains.
Okay.
And it's a buzzword at the moment because a lot of people will hear of intermittent fasting with weight loss.
Yes.
And I'm like yourself. I'll always try something first before I recommend it. And it was actually in lockdown I started running because I couldn't get to the gym. And of course,
but you could only do 2 kilometres.
I know, yeah. Well, that was enough. I hate running. But I didn't do it properly. I wasn't wearing the right runners. And I gave myself this thing called plantar fasciitis.
Stop.
Right.
That sounds made up.
Which is this thing in the foot, right? Which, oh my God, is so excruciating. And I went to physio. I did exercise. Nothing worked. And I came across intermittent fasting. I had heard about it. And I said, do you know what? I'm going to try this for the aches and pains. Within 2 weeks, it had cleared.
Oh my God, stop.
It had cleared. So I was like, okay, I'm an advocate for this. And even with, say, perimenopause, menopause, that aches and pains, this is something that can definitely, because you're allowing your body to go into this thing called autophagy, where it's like Pac-Man, I describe it. Your disease cells start eating the older ones.
Right.
And you're renewing yourself.
Okay.
So it's an amazing thing.
That's mad, isn't it? Like, I got my bloods done recently.
Oh, fantastic.
And you're somebody who is such an advocate. How often should you get your bloods done, by the way?
Yearly.
Every year?
Yearly, as I say, yearly. And it was like probably since Hannah, it was 7 years since I got mine done last year. And it's like, God, why did I leave it so long?
7 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I should have been checking it because of the thyroid.
Yeah.
And I didn't. It was like, no. And life got in the way.
Of course.
And it was like, so.
And when you got them checked last year, were they bad? Well, no, please don't tell me they're bad, because you're just a genius on nutrition.
But you see, this is it. People think, oh, you're the queen of health. Your life is perfect.
Yeah.
For a year before that, I was just feeling so anxious, stressed, tired, irritable. And I was like, oh, well, I'm at the age now. This is perimenopause.
Yes.
And I had myself labelled, and it's like, right, let's nutritionally look at that. And I said, nah, there's something not right. And then you'd think I would have known, like, after rectifying an underactive thyroid, that, oh, maybe this could be it. But no, superwoman, off she went, opened up a business, had a baby and everything. And when I went to the doctor, she's like, okay, right, let's do this. And she says, I won't ring you if they're okay. Yeah. Right. 2 days later, 7:30 in the morning, she rings me, and I was like, oh my God, what's wrong? But she says, yeah, you're right. You have an underactive thyroid. Your figures are way off. She says, but this time, because I asked her to test for antibodies, because I had gone back to study more nutrition, and I knew now that this is what you need to test for.
Right.
So basically now the thyroid's underactive, but I have an autoimmune, Hashimoto's. Which is a byproduct of stress, of different things that can go on in the body, and really not looking after yourself properly.
Right.
So I'm on a new mission now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on a new mission now to see, right, how can the body actually heal this and do it? Because, it's not a nice place to be. So everybody should really test themselves.
So what happens if, so I'm 51, so my bloods came back, and this time I was told I'm low on folic acid.
Oh, yeah.
So what's going on there? I'm not trying to get pregnant, by the way.
No. So this is really related to your iron levels and how you're converting your food into this. And a lot of people will find that if they are still having a bleed once a month, that sometimes their energy levels become so low.
Yeah.
And sometimes people might supplement with iron, but it's actually folate that they need to actually go in. So we hear of folate when we're trying for babies, but we need it all our lives.
Yeah.
And it's one of the, say, folate, B12, D, will always sometimes come back with most women as being deficient.
Yeah.
So
that was these bloods, right? Then I got bloods done a little while ago for something else. And testosterone level and my vitamin D level were down.
Okay.
So I'm a disaster.
No. And it's great to have those levels, because then, when you start working then again with a nutritional therapist, they have those things to work on. So it's obviously not like a puzzle. It's like, okay, we need to go in here. And we're coming into now September. It's that kind of, darker season. And a lot of people, most people need to supplement with a D3.
Yeah.
I find.
And what's a D3? Is that vitamin D?
It's the vitamin D. It's just a variation of it. I love the spray version, because you literally can just spray.
Oh, deadly. I'll be into that now.
Go. It's brilliant.
I'll have it in the car. I'll be spraying everyone.
Because I find that people suffer with seasonal affective disorder, SAD syndrome.
Yeah.
And especially those that are in offices, they go to work in the dark, they're coming home, or shift workers. So I think everybody, more or less, and obviously, talk to the doctor, but should supplement from September to maybe February.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's no harm.
And I've been told all this, and I didn't go out and buy any vitamins. I'm thinking, is there an easier way to do this?
With D, it's, they say, there's certain foods, but if you are low and people come back with low, the easier option is to supplement first of all. Get your levels back up, and then dietary, you can look at that.
God, my press is going to be full of these vitamins. So talk to me then about brides. Like I have brides who get married from their mid-20s to to whatever age. You're in your 20s. What should you be doing to look after yourself, especially coming up to your day? You want your skin to look the most amazing it's ever looked, ever.
Yes.
So is there anything that you can tell them?
Yeah, absolutely. Because again, the adrenaline kicks in.
Yes.
So you're on overdrive. I remember it's like, and then it's the down afterwards. But for me, I would look at, say, the smoothies, the juices, right? Juicing. I love juicing.
Yes.
Right. It's completely different than smoothies.
Okay.
Your juice is not a meal replacement.
Right.
This is like getting a hose and just flooding your cells with hydration, nutrition.
Right.
And I guarantee if anybody's getting married and they go on a journey of one juice a day, of greens, apples, lemons, ginger maybe, the change in their skin.
Oh God, I need that. No, not get married. Tell me.
And, invest in a juicer. It's the best thing. It's almost like a supplement, but you're doing it yourself. You're having fresh fruits and vegetables, mainly greens. And I guarantee within 2 weeks of one juice a day, your skin just glows because you're working from the inside out.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't put a load of fruit because that's loads of sugar.
No, you put maybe, like, say, my favourite one is, say, 1 to 2 apples.
Okay.
I'd probably use a big head of lettuce.
Okay. A full head?
Yeah.
Jesus, you'd be pooing green.
And some ginger in there.
Okay.
So it's mostly greens. But the apple, the fruit piece is just for the taste buds to get you used to it.
Okay.
But by God, like I know I love my coffee in the morning, but if I have a juice, this just is electric energy.
So would you have a smoothie in the morning then for your breakfast, or do you eat?
Yeah, so I go between intermittent fasting. So I do love to intermittent fast, and I'd probably go from 8 o'clock at night and go around, not a full 16 hour. A lot of people with intermittent would do 16-hour fasting. Right. So I'd stop eating at 8 and I'd probably eat again around 10 or 11.
Now, would you drink water?
Yes.
Okay.
And I may have a black coffee in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah, if I really feel like it.
Yeah.
Then I'd break the fast with a juice.
Okay.
And I'd have my smoothie then as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So you did the juice first and then the smoothie.
Yeah.
And how much water would you drink every day?
2 litres on a good day.
Oh, Janie.
But if I make my smoothies, I will put a litre of water into that smoothie.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a litre.
Yeah. So obviously then that would be 3 litres if on a good day. Yeah.
Okay. You're unbelievable.
That's on a good day.
And then for mothers of the bride, I suppose we've just really spoken about them, haven't we?
Yeah.
And just get your bloods checked. And
absolutely.
So when you're going to get your bloods checked, do you need to say to the doctor, can you check for this, this, this and this? What are they? I suppose everybody's different. But if you want your I suppose your vitamin levels checked, do you just say that?
Yeah. So basically a doctor will only you go in and ask. They'll probably just do the basic, right? And
which is what, like?
It's basically, they might do what will they actually do in a basic? They will look for the vitamin D, the B12, those ones there. But when I'll do up a little letter for clients and I'll send them off to the doctor, and we look at a full hormonal panel,
right? Where
we're looking at the TSH, we're looking at the folate, we're looking at antibodies in case for the thyroid,
right?
Because a lot of women, their thyroid may be out and they mightn't know it.
Okay. So bloods are absolutely essential.
They're key. They're absolutely key.
Yeah. And what about guys? Are they the same?
100%.
Yeah. Men don't look after themselves.
They don't.
You think women don't, but men are disasters.
No, they don't.
A lot of them. My husband's a total disaster.
Yeah, they don't. I think men, in fairness, they think they can get away with a lot more.
Yeah.
I think we're just more in tune with our bodies.
Yes.
And that ache that's there will kind of better go to the doctor.
Yeah.
Where if a man has it, it'll probably be there for a year and then I better go and sort that out.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know whether it's a fear thing or it's just, you know what, it's grand and they put it to the back.
And so for men, they're better off going once a year and getting everything checked.
Yeah, once a year. And then maybe the doctor may say, do you know what, come back in 2 years and see. So, But look, if there is, like, the yearly thing is if something shows up, you're deficient or you need to rectify something, then it's a year until you know, right, I have this and I'm doing what I need to do, and then maybe every 2 years.
Yeah. I suppose for women, they have to go and get their breasts checked and they have to go and get a smear done.
Yeah.
And for the lads, you know, prostate is a big thing, but that from a particular age, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm not too sure what the age is, but
Yeah, but they should get that checked very often too.
Yeah.
Have you any other tips for our listeners, Nicola? I think we've talked about everything. You gave me a list of questions I haven't even looked down once.
No. Do you know what? I think we're as women, we're just very hard on ourselves.
Yeah,
and it's just to live life and enjoy and look at what kind of brings out the joy in you.
Yeah,
really, whether it's sitting down in the morning having your cup of coffee before everybody gets up, or if it is that once a month that you go out with friends, but that you do look after yourself.
Yeah, give yourself some time.
Yeah.
And Nicola, if anybody wants to get in touch with you, because I know they will. You're such a positive person. I'm definitely going back to you now after this. How do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I'm all over social. And
you're everywhere.
And my website's just under the Queen of Health.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll find me there.
Particularly on Instagram.
Yeah, love Instagram.
Yes, I love Instagram too.
Yeah.
Nicola, thank you so much for joining me today.
Not at all. Thank you.
Such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.